me personally, and he made a statement which shook me. He said, "You Christians are hypocrites. If you practice 1/5 of what is written in the Bible, there will be no need for the revolution we are planning to have. But because you people are hypocrites, we are going to come and we will wipe you off." Then he asked me this question. He said, "Reuben, are you prepared to die for this thing you people are fighting for?" Then he said there's only one person that mattered to him in his life, and that was his girlfriend. And he said that if his girlfriend, he mentioned her name, he said if his girlfriend was going to come between him and this revolution that they're about to carry out, that he will eliminate her. Before he then asked me that question, say, "Reuben, are you prepared to die for this thing that you are talking about?" That was when it dawned on me that to make noise and talk faith and claim who we are and go about jumping up and down, making noise, that when the real matter comes, that is where our faith will be tested. And I knew that at that time, as a young man, I was getting to my final year, and I had dreams, I had ambition, I had desires, I had what I was looking forward to being as a student. But I had never considered this question about this faith that I have. By that time, we were running around, we were doing so many things. And as the General Secretary of the CSSM, and then as also a member of the Christian Action Team, which was a political wing of the Christian Association of Nigeria, that was fighting to ensure that Christians dominated. And I was going around, and I was almost killed several times. I remember one evening, after we have addressed Christians in Bukru. Bukru is near Jos, on the need for them to get involved and then participate in the Constituent Assembly election that was going to hold that time, so that we will have more Christians in the Constituent Assembly. And after we finished addressing those people that night, and I went there as a member of the Christian Action Team. And when I came out, it was in the evening, and one man followed me, and he spoke to me in Igbo. And he told me that if I love myself, I should not sleep in Jos that night. That it was from the State Security Service, and they were monitoring us, and that the only reason why he was talking to me that night was because he knew I was an Igbo person, that I must not sleep in Jos that night. And I had to find my way out of Jos that night. But until this boy threw that challenge to me, I never imagined that this call, this faith, will require my laying down my life. And it was that night I took that decision. I made a vow to God. I said, this life, I surrender it to you. you can do with me whatever you wanted. And I think that's what consolidated my journey into fulfilling God's purpose for my life. Because that now impacted different aspects of my life. By that time, I was just a young person. I have heard from God some things right from my secondary school, and then as I journeyed with Him, I learned to hear His voice and to listen to His voice and to obey. But it was a very big struggle for me, trying to position myself in the will of God and to make sure that what occupied my life was God's will. It was a big struggle, but by this time I was getting close, very close to it. But then this challenge also turned me, because I still had more choices to make after that time. Those choices included who I will marry after this experience, included what I will do, included so many other things. And I thank God that encounter, that I had it, because it made me to reevaluate my priorities and to decide to commit myself to what was more important to the Lord. That was why the first victim of that choice was the person that God told me I will marry. Before that time, I'd had these experiences that two sisters proposed to me. But it wasn't God's will, it didn't work. Then I myself chose two sisters that I thought fitted into my own expectation and my own desires. And still, those ones didn't work. But after this experience, I told God that I don't want to make any other decision, any other choice apart from what you have for me. And that was the point that the Lord told me, this is the person you are going to marry. And I have made this decision that night. And when I met this sister that the Lord said, and the one that she's the one I'm going to marry, she became the first victim of that decision, because I told her that day. Before even I told her why I came, I told story. I said the person that will marry me must be prepared to be an early widow. And that person must be prepared to live a life of poverty. And also that person must be prepared to live a lonely life, because I will be always on the go. It was after that I told her, will you marry me? And let me ask sisters here, if a man came that way and proposed to you, what will be your response? And there was silence for almost 5 minutes, and the silence was very, very thick and tense. You could handle it. Then after that, she now told me, if you had come yesterday, I wouldn't have believed that it was God. And if you didn't come today, and you came another day, I wouldn't have believed that it was God. Because God told me that you are coming and you are going to propose to me. So if you see my wife, you can ask her the rest of the questions. But if you have had opportunity to read the contemporary issues in African missions, she shared testimonies there. Or the most recent one that was inaugurated by this time last year, the African Christian and the African missionary. You can read these stories there. And the demand and this kind of questions that we face that time, they are still real this time. And that is why, in addressing this topic I was asked to speak on now, occupy till I come. And this is where I am taking it based on that experience and that question I've had to answer for my life. And I also related to the question that was asked to the young Levite in Judges chapter 18, verse 3. When the Danites met him there, you know how he found himself in that place, in Micah's place. And when they heard his voice, they moved in there. They asked him these three questions. Who brought you here? That's what the question they asked that young man. A Levite who found himself in a place he was occupying and doing the wrong thing in the wrong place. Who brought you here? Then the second question was, what are you doing here? What is your ministry? What is your purpose? And then the third one was, why are you doing what you are doing and why are you where you are? Judges 18 verse 3. I think these are the questions that every one of us who had come into this world and then who has had the privilege of being born again, these questions are very, very vital. And the earlier we answer them, the better for us, so that we will not regret that we have diverted so far from God's agenda and God's priority before we realize it. Because each day is taking us closer to our destination. And what we have not done about why you are here on earth, it will constitute a regret at the time your journey terminates.
Good day, everyone.
can be occupying this space, standing here, and it is not profiting me, not profiting anybody. By the word occupation, it means that we are doing something fruitful and useful. And that is why my recommendations are as follows. In Isaiah chapter 60, verse 1 to 5, the Lord said, "Arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you." Yeah, it has happened. But he said that you have to then rise and shine. If you don't rise, you will not shine. Get up and get busy. Then that is when your profiting will appear to everybody. And we're told in Judges chapter 5, verses 6 and 9, it said that the situation in Israel was so ugly and depressing until there arose a mother in Israel. You know who that was? Deborah. The situation, if you read up, it says things were terrible. But a woman arose, including even there was a king, a general who was to lead the battle. But he couldn't do anything. Then Deborah arose. And that was why even when he convinced Barak, he said, "You will go and fight the battle." Barak said to her, "Please lead me. Lead us." And the woman, Deborah told her that if I lead, the glory will come to me. And that's exactly what happened. There was terrible situation until somebody arose. A mother in Israel. You know, the threat over the lives of the Jews in the kingdom of Ahasuerus was reversed after Esther decided to arise and go to the king. Esther chapter 4, verses 14 to 16. It was so terrible, and we know what has happened. And of course, she was also considering the protocol. But when it dawned on her that she has the answer, because that's what Mordecai told her. Do you know whether it is for this purpose you are brought into the kingdom now? Do you know whether it is for this purpose you are where you are now? Or you are born in the place where you are born? Or you are located into the place where you were? Or you are still alive? Because Caleb said that to say, "I know it is for this reason that the Lord has kept me alive that for these 40 years." And before that time, the giants were there on the mountain. And everybody was going around conquering other places. Nobody looked at the giants until he said, "Give me this mountain." And he got it. And he got it. And you know too that Jordan River did not part until those carrying the ark stepped into the water. Until they stepped into the water, all the blessings and the promises were still afar off. The Jordan River was preventing them from going to that side. But some people had to step into the water for the water to part. And of course, we know the story of the prodigal son. You know the prodigal son? He said he had spent everything, wasted it, and he was suffering in penury until he did. What am I doing here? The Bible said he had to come to his senses. And he made a decision. I will arise. Yeah. I will arise is a decision. But the Bible said, and he arose and went. I will arise is a decision. But you also have to follow that decision with action. And we know also about the plight of the people of Samaria when they were eating their children. fish. And God said there was going to be food. People didn't believe it. And there were these 4 lepers who were outside. And they said, if we remain here, we will die. If we go outside, the worst they will do, they will kill us. They said they rose up and went. And when they went, they discovered that God had acted. And that was how deliverance was brought to the people of Samaria. Therefore, my brothers and my sisters, the challenge that I'm leaving with us today is this. God has given us all that we need to occupy. He has given us. And 2 Peter puts it this way. He said, even all the things that pertain to life and godliness. And he has given us exceedingly great promises, by which, by applying them, we can also become partakers of the divine nature. And then he said that now what remains is, to our faith, we must act. We must take steps. Even the little that you know now, the little that you think you have now, can make a lot of impact. And let me also share this secret with you. Unless you have used what you have received, much will not be given to you. And he was putting, if you see how he took care of that sheep that belonged to his father. You know, he had elder brothers. He didn't care, but he did it so diligently